Good morning. Happy continued Momentum Monday and welcome to Espresso with Aaron and Sarit. Today we have a very special guest interview, and today on our show we will be hosting Miss Stephanie Dorwart, who is the owner of Altius Healthcare Consulting Group. Her company transforms healthcare organizations through workforce optimization, productivity enhancement, and leadership development by providing tools and knowledge and skills in order to provide the highest possible quality of care to patients and the community that they serve. Her company has worked with hospitals ranging in size from 25 to 900 beds, and they consistently deliver a 17x return of investment. And today, we're going to be talking about how getting in shape and becoming more resilient physically and mentally has helped Stephanie to transform her confidence as a woman in a leadership role, and how health plays a role in productivity in relationships. So that being said, welcome to the show.
What up?
What is going on? Thank you so much for having me today. I am so excited to share information with everyone and so happy to share the morning with both of you.
Absolutely. And likewise, we've actually known each other for a couple of years now. However, we have taken our relationship to the next level over the last couple of months. And, the growth that you've had in all areas of your life since then has been absolutely remarkable. So we're super excited to, just share your story with this community. And to all our ES Army peeps, welcome. If you're new to the show, we hope that you find a lot of value in this conversation. And
I want to say too, who's going to get the most out of this interview, this episode, especially not just women who are wanting to lose weight, get in better shape, feel good about themselves, be more energized, but especially very business career driven women who have a lot of responsibility from a professional standpoint. Because a lot of times, and anybody who just feels like they are very limited in time and have a lot of responsibilities. So it plays another role in the difficulty in achieving weight loss goals sustainably when you have a lot on your plate.
Yeah. For anybody who is listening, we'd love to know from you. Drop in the chat if you know that you're on a quest to elevate your professional game. Just go ahead and drop a piece so that we can see you. And for anybody who is listening to us for the very first time, in the case that you don't know who we are, we take full responsibility for it. My name is Sarit.
I'm Aaron.
And we're on a mission to transform the lives of millions of people through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. So, Stephanie, okay, I see you guys dropping those P's. Are you ready to get this party started?
Let's go.
All right.
Born ready.
Born ready. I love it. So let's begin by talking about your weight journey. I feel like it's still such a taboo thing to talk about, right? But the reality is that over 90% of women are not confident in their body and are struggling with their body in one way, shape, or form. And this is like beyond weight related. Okay. And also, 60% of Americans are, medicated for at least one chronic disease. And currently in this day and age, as this episode is being recorded, 42% of Americans are considered to be morbidly obese. So, this is definitely an issue and nobody wants to talk about it. Guess what? We do. So
I don't want to breeze past that either. 42% morbid obesity. This is not like an obese. This is like extreme. 42% is almost half of our country. It breaks my heart. So, why we show up all the time is because not only in that confidence that you're talking about, it also has to do with quality of life and lifespan. And so, we're on a mission to change that.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Stephanie, in advance for your willingness to just open up and be vulnerable. So, let's talk about just your, let's call it body image journey. When did it all start? When you were like, I'm either not happy or something needs to change. And what was that thought?
Well, let me walk you through my entire life because I think that's important. And I believe that, possibly someone in the audience may relate to it. I've struggled with weight my entire life. I was born premature. So for the first 5 years of my life, I was dramatically underweight and in and out of the hospital and very weak and frail. And so at the age of 8, I was placed on weight gaining medication and a weight gaining diet that really started that piece. And I also had some other issues in my life at the time that compounded that problem. So you can look at my second grade picture against my third grade picture. Second grade, thin, healthy, except I was a little frail. Third grade, overweight. And it did really happen that quickly. And it continued to progress from there. So from the time I was 9 years old on, I was overweight. So started there, made fun of, in the schoolyard, couldn't keep up with everyone, always the last person picked whenever you're playing dodgeball. And that really continued throughout high school, didn't really get asked out very often on dates, didn't get asked to dance, in middle school. So my self-worth really related to a lot of that and being overweight. So I, became funny. I compensated in it for other ways. And a lot of times I just withdrew from everything. And there came a point in time where I actually started to gain confidence in college. So I dropped a lot of weight, but I didn't do it the healthiest way. I basically didn't eat until maybe dinner. And then from dinner on, I would eat. And then, of course, it's college, so you drink. But I did get down to what would be considered a very healthy weight by eating pizza, cheeseburger, French fries, and then, drinking until 3 a.m. and eating the same things. And at the time, I stayed there for a while, but then I had a relationship that got very toxic and ended very poorly. And all of the old eating patterns began. So I really began to self-sabotage, emotional eating, et cetera. And I call from dinner until the end of the day, the witching hours, because I would do great until dinner, and then I would just eat my way through the evening. And at one point, when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I wanted to try to change. And so I did everything that you can possibly think of: the cabbage diet, South Beach, Atkins, whatever else was on there. I think I took some kind of pills that ended up causing heart issues, hydroxycut. So you can name anything that was there during that period of my life. And I actually would drop 20 pounds, gain 25 back, drop 20, gain 25 back. And then there came a point where I just stopped trying and just decided that it's not really worth it. I have poor genes. I have poor health. This is just the way my life's going to be. And I continue to just eat and enjoy and grow. And, that just, decided that's where I was going to be until I hit a point. Actually, the first realization, I was 40. And one of my very close friends, I can remember the conversation very clearly because we're driving down the highway and I was crying because I wasn't in a relationship. I wanted to find love. And am I going to end up spending the rest of my life alone? And she's like, you are the one that has to change. And I'm like, no, it's the rest of the world. And I kept complaining and kept, finding all the excuses and all the limiting beliefs. And that was actually 8 years before I decided I was going to change because I wasn't quite ready yet. So fast forward, I'm now 225-ish pounds. I actually was higher than that at my heaviest, but I didn't have the courage to actually get on the scale. So I don't really know what my heaviest weight was or where my lowest low was, but it started by 3 compounding things. Number one, I had promised that friend that by the time I was 50, I wouldn't be in the same position. So now we're coming up on 48. I didn't want to break the promise, but I knew I had this limited amount of time. Second, I was told by my physician that by the time I would come back for my next physical, if I did not do something differently, I would be on cholesterol medication. I would probably be diabetic, and the heart issues and my high blood pressure, if it didn't change, I was moving into a situation, if I didn't start moving and actually improving my nutrition, I may be at a high stroke risk. And I knew that my family had a lot of heart disease, there's a lot of cancer, and there's a high rate of diabetes. So second, I was scared, and I did not want all of those things to come true. And then the third was ego driven, being completely honest. And, when things are ego driven, they don't typically last. But my company had decided that we were going to go online and do a virtual training academy program. And of course, because I am the lead of the company and do the majority of the consulting, now he's going to have to be on camera. And all I could think about is, holy heck, I'm going to have to look at my 225-pound body that I can't stand even look in the mirror because I run past it every day. And I'm going to have to look at myself recording all this educational content. And it was that ego piece that I'm like, I cannot bring myself to do that started. And, when the students ready, the teachers start to appear. So that particular day, I just happened to be scrolling through Facebook, and one of my childhood friends had a post that she owns a gym and had a post about training. So I reached out, I texted her and said, hey, can you help me? She's like, hell yeah, I can. Get your ass in here. So that started the journey, but I actually almost backed out of that. And I was typing excuses that morning. My mom did actually go into diabetic shock that morning. I'm like, Kathy, I don't think I'm going to come today, this and this. And I knew that if I didn't actually take that step and move and go to the gym, I would never start. So that began the journey. I was 225 pounds at that time. That was movement only. And we started slowly because we have to realize I really couldn't barely walk. Walking up flights of stairs, I would get out of breath. I had difficulty doing laundry. I had difficulty cleaning. I had difficulty just carrying my luggage when I would travel or putting the suitcase overhead. So I was in a really difficult state at that point. And I think it was probably about a year after that I actually met the two of you. So I knew that with what I was doing at the gym and training, that the nutrition piece of it was not there. So prior to meeting the two of you, I actually had invested in a coaching program, and I started the macro counting. And we can talk a lot about all the ways I sabotaged with the macro counting, but I had my protein number, I had my carb number, I had the fat number. It was very restricted, all the things that I couldn't eat. So I would put everything into my fitness pal, and I was so happy when you told me to just delete it and never look at it again. But I put everything into my fitness pal, and I would get to the end of the day and I'd be okay. And then the self-sabotaging and the emotional eating, and something would trigger, and then I'd have chocolate. And so now my macros are already out of whack, so I may as well have more chocolate. And then heck, I love Reese's peanut butter cups, so I'm just going to dip the chocolate into the peanut butter. And I didn't actually enter it all into my fitness pal. And then I would get on the calls with my coach. She's like, I don't really understand. Why aren't you seeing any changes? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm a little bit broken and I haven't fixed all this stuff and I don't really know what to do.
Okay. I'm dying for you to take that hoodie off though, because I hate that label on you. So we're ready. We're ready for the reveal.
Okay. Flex.
Oh, flex on
from 225 to bang. So good. So good.
Let's go. So, by the way, for anybody who's listening to this live, if you can relate to this, please go ahead and drop an R. We want to see you. You know, the reason why we do these conversations is because a lot of times, and Stephanie, please tell me if you agree for that to be true. A lot of times, when we are going through this, we feel like we're the only ones going through this and we're like all alone. When the reality is that that's not the case. And that's a huge part of why we've created this community and we do what we do, because it's not talked about and you think that you're the only one who's going through this. Do you agree?
100%. I felt completely alone. And as I went through the roller coaster, I went from macro tracking, and that worked until it didn't. And then I just started throwing everything. I did keto, I did intermittent fasting. And at the end of the day, I didn't feel as if I had anyone I could talk to about this, because you're embarrassed. I was really still in a place of self-hatred. I couldn't talk about what I was feeling, how badly you would feel after you would say that you're going to do something and then you don't follow through on it. So you say that you're going to go out and you're not going to eat the pizza, but then you have a slice of pizza and then, oh, well, I had one, so I'm going to have 3 and then I'm going to have 5. Or I'm going to drink 2 beers and then the 2 beers turns into 4, turns into 6, turns into 8. And you feel really guilty. And what I didn't realize at the time, and I realize now, is that guilt and that feeling and the way that you feel when your self-confidence is lowered through all those actions really started to play into all areas of my life. It impacted my business. It impacted relationships. It impacted my environment. And all of those things really started to play in together. And what I think the two of you knew that I didn't know when I first met you, because I met you about 1.5 years into my journey. And at the time I thought, I've got this solved. I don't need any more help. I am good to go. I'm excellent. You did make me do a burpee that I never did before, but I thought I had it figured out, right? But what you knew that I didn't know is I didn't work on all the underlying behaviors and all of the habits, and there was no foundation. So at the end of the day, without the foundation and the habits and the bricks and the information there, I couldn't keep it up. So when things got dark, which we're going to talk about soon, I'm sure, but things got dark and I started cascading and starting to come face to face with all of my old habits, it happened very quickly. And I couldn't stop myself because there were not any tools in place or skills or even thought processes to understand why I was doing what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talk about it all the time. That the truth is that a transformation journey of any kind, obviously, like if you're listening to this, then, you're probably on the pursuit of transforming your body in one way, shape, or form. And everybody talks about the physiological, and the physiological is great, right? Because we're manipulating the body. But what we have to understand is that,
like the physical.
Yeah. Is that we're not just a body. We can want our body to change all day, like macros this, cabbage soup diet, South Beach diet. And there's nothing wrong with any of these things. It's just that, the missing piece is that, by not implementing the behavioral piece to it, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to continue driving the same way. And you're always going to, get back to the same result. So
I'm going to add a piece to that too, because if you don't know why you're doing something, then you won't keep doing it because you ask yourself, what's the point? And what I mean by that specifically is we choose a diet because we think the reason why we choose a diet is because we want to lose weight. We don't want to lose weight. We want something that the weight loss gives us. So if I can give like just a golden ticket to your success physically with how you want to transform your body, it's going to be, for one, you need to know what the purpose is for you wanting to lose weight in the first place. For two, here's the second golden ticket to like physical freedom is the only way your body will change and stay the way you change it to is if you change, your being, your soul, your person, your habits, your thoughts, you. And none of that happens from the outside in, it happens from the inside out. Yeah. So that's where you begin to work on over the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, about 6 months. I just want to touch upon a couple of things that you said, Aaron, because I think it's really important. Is I was looking for external validation in a lot of cases of my progress instead of working on the internal validation. And when I was rolling through all of the programs and going through intermittent fasting, keto, whatever the next big thing was, I was coming from a position of self-hate. And what I've realized through this journey in the ENS community and the teachings is that when you're coming from a position of self-hate, it's very easy to fall off the wagon because now everything's restrictive. I'm being forced to eat this chicken and broccoli and cauliflower. I'm being forced to work out. You still hate yourself, but everything that you're doing, you don't want to do. You don't want to eat healthy. You don't want to eat clean. You don't want to watch what you're doing. You don't want to work out. You don't want to drag yourself out of bed in the morning. And what I realized is I had to fall back in love with myself and approach it all from a position of self-love. Because now when you love yourself, I'm not going to put garbage in my body anymore, because why on earth am I going to put garbage in my body that's going to clog up my arteries, that's going to make me feel horrible, that's not going to give me energy, because I love myself. So I think when you do that, you get up in the morning because I want to get to the gym, because it's going to give me energy. It's going to make my day more productive. It's going to make me feel better. I want to eat clean because when I don't eat clean, the processed food makes me feel worse. And I actually don't have the energy that I need. So I've realized through everything that I've gone through in the last 6 months, but approaching it from self-love is much better than coming at it from a position of hate.
Yeah.
So good.
So I want to hear about those dark moments that you faced and what would happen when there's dark moments.
Oh, can we do like a snapshot of it too, so that not everybody's living in this place of like where we don't want to be, but also inspired to, hey, this is where I came from and this is where I'm at, just like for the inspiration of it as well.
Yeah. So darkest place happened early in 2022. My mother had some very severe health issues at the end of 2021 and ended up, really going into hospice. And she passed in early February of last year. And after that point in time, she lived with me. So living alone, I hadn't actually lived alone for a long time. So now I'm in my house alone. I did not have my mother, who was my support structure for a long period of my time and really my best friend. If something was going on, first phone call was to my mother. The first, person I reached out to was to my mom. So I had lost that. And I really, I think a lot of people, retreated. Whenever you're faced with controversy or you're faced with, dark times, you're either going to disappear or, destruct. And I did both. So I disappeared from my business. I disappeared from my friends, and I distracted by really, going home, and I would have one glass of wine, and then one glass of wine turned into two, and then two turned into the bottle, and then go sleep. But it really hit a point. I was in Las Vegas, people that know me, I'm sure if anyone's on this call, I saw some of people and friends in here. Las Vegas is my place. So I was there and I just had a really great trip that actually wasn't great because I was medicating myself with alcohol and medicating myself with food. So I ate all of the things. I drank everything I could possibly get my hands on. And I just woke up in the hotel room and I was like, this isn't the person I want to be. And this is not how I want to live my life. And at that moment, I knew I had to change. I knew that I couldn't do that. And that was in mid-May. So I made a promise to myself, and I actually made a promise to God that I was going to do things differently and that I was going to step up and that I was going to really lean into what I was supposed to do and who I was supposed to be, because I knew that I wasn't doing that. And I was letting myself down, but also letting a lot of other people down as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody can relate to, if you're listening to this live, if you can relate to self-medicating through alcohol and or food, can you just drop in the chat, which is your preferred? For most people, it's honestly both, perhaps other things as well. But the reality is that if we're not confronting something, we're always going to go for this substance, whatever it may be, to numb the pain. So I want to hear about how has not, prior to when you joined the Raw and the Inner Circle programs, I want to hear about how has living this way affected you in a professional manner as well?
Yeah, so I think I'm probably a little bit different than some people that come into Raw and come into the inner circle. And the fact that as a business owner, an entrepreneur, I knew before coming into it that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I knew that the fact that I wasn't taking care of myself, that I wasn't taking care of my body, that I wasn't taking care of my nutrition, and that I wasn't leading myself was in fact what was holding me back from actually executing at all levels as a career person and as a career woman and for my business. So even though on the surface, everything was going well, clients were doing great, customer satisfaction was good, we were still doing well and surviving as a company, I knew that we could be doing so much more if I actually was operating on all cylinders. So how it translates is you can't lead anyone else unless you lead yourself first. You can't take care of anyone else unless you take care of yourself first. And you can't actually make a difference unless you're making a difference in your life first. And yeah, you can have a vision, you can have a mission, you can actually be going in and doing well in your organization, at your hospital, in your business. But what I knew was how much better and how much more I could do if I could put all of the mindset in place and actually take the steps to understand how to change. So I started with changing myself. And because I knew the two of you and before, and I lurked in the community for a long time, and I may have binge watched Espresso during bad times, I knew that this was more than just weight loss. And I knew it wasn't just about the nutrition. So I think a lot of people come because of the Facebook ads and maybe Erin jumping out of the garbage can or flushing herself down a porta potty. But I knew it was all mindset and foundational that impacts your entire life. So when I came back in and I knew I was ready to come back in, I was still a little bit skeptical. I think I would be lying if I didn't say that. But within the first week, I knew that was what I needed, because now it was going to be the structure to give perspective and understand how environment plays into everything, but really, how does your food, nutrition, and what you're doing for yourself and meditating in the morning and journaling through things and self-development impact your business? I lost my passion. And when I lost my passion for myself. I lost my passion for life. And if I'll be completely honest, I lost a little bit of my passion for my business and a little bit of my passion for everything. And when you lose your passion, you can't really have any purpose. And by coming back in and really going back to my why, my foundations, why do I want to do what I'm doing? Why does it make a difference to me? I was able to revisit all of that and regain the passion for life, regain my passion for my company, regain a renewed vision, and ultimately really become a better version of myself on the other side.
I love it.
I want to speak into the part of you that is of anybody here that can relate to the part of you that is the not just business or career driven, but also wanting to make an impact on other people. That's what you're doing. If you want to make a positive impact on people, if you want to be inspiring, if you desire to help other people overcome things, you will only be able to do it to the extent that you've done it for yourself, because there's a ceiling for everyone. And anybody that you are inspiring or you are helping or you are coaching or you are fill in the blank will only be able to graduate to the level that you have. And if they're ready to go beyond that, they're going to go find somebody else because they will have outgrown you. So this is why Sarit and myself are continuously growing, continuously trying to get better, be better, just committed to our own personal growth and development, because we can only help you. We can only help the rest of the ES Army or anybody new, future ES Army members to the extent that we've been able to help ourselves. And so I just want to speak into anybody who is that coach, health coach, business owner, entrepreneur. You want to be inspiring to people. It has to start with you.
Especially parents as well. Any parents in the house? If so, please go ahead and drop a P.
I want to bridge. I know you probably have a question that you're dying to ask, Sarit, so I'm sorry if I'm interrupting
No,
you.
go for it.
I want to bridge that too and talk a little bit about like the healthcare workers and that space for a bit, because there's a lot of stress and burnout just in general, not just in healthcare, but in all kinds of areas right now. And I think as women that are primarily in the community, a lot of us are people pleasers. A lot of us are perfectionists, and a lot of us fall into those general categories. And I know I'm a big people pleaser. I hate telling anyone no. I want to make everyone happy. And I think when you're coming into any kind of, transformation, and that's the lens that you're looking at, it becomes so much harder to actually do the things that you need to do, because you don't want to say no when someone offers you food. You don't want to turn those things down. But when you actually become rooted in your values and become rooted in your goals and really start to make all decisions from a point of, well, how is this going to make me feel? How is this actually going to help me reach my goals or not reach my goals? Everything shifts and changes. And I think from a healthcare worker perspective and from a business owner, career person, we spend so much time taking care of everyone else. And this allows you to really start to take care of yourself. But one of the things this community taught me more than anything is, number one, you need support. So you need people that you can lean into and help you. And it's okay to ask for that support. And number two, anytime you're doing something, just pause and ask why it's happening. Because understanding why you're actually taking the action you already have, whether it's in business, whether it's saying that you're going to make a phone call that you don't make, or saying that you're going to do something for your kid that you don't do, or just acting in a way that's different than where you are. Why? If you said you're going to do this, why are you not? And that just allows you to completely shift your thinking and again, come back to you.
That's really good.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to shift gears and start talking about the possibilities. Like, what are the possibilities for anybody who, I saw a lot of you guys said, you can definitely relate to this, regardless of where they're at in their weight loss journey, their health journey, regardless of their age, for anybody who's currently feeling like, they just keep spinning around their wheels, right? I'll try this thing, and then you fall off. And I'll try this next thing. And, you just keep going through life, going through the motions. Talk to us about, like, how has life changed and what results have you achieved from a scale-related victory, non-scale-related victory, and professional victory?
So I think the possibilities are endless. And, when you're in that tornado or the hurricane or whatever you want to call it, it's really difficult to get yourself out of the pattern, but it starts with small wins. And the possibilities become endless by sticking to your word and by just following through with one small win, and that becomes endless. From a scale victory, I am now about 145. So 225 down to 145, I think maybe 143. Yeah, so about 80 pounds. I can do all kinds of things that I never thought I would do, like handstands, getting closer, being able to do pull-ups, full push-ups, and all of those things when I actually couldn't really even do a squat when I started. So non-scale victories, I went from a size 18X. Now I'm in between a small and a medium, right about a size 6. And I think the most important thing that I want to say to everyone now is I don't even look at my scale. And even when I started in, the programs and coaching, my goal dealing with weight was originally like 130 pounds, but I've changed it because the weight goal doesn't matter. I don't really care what the number on the scale says. I'm now just focusing on strength and conditioning and flexibility. And whatever the end number ends up being, it is the end number. I'm not really sure what it's going to be, but it's different. And from a professional perspective, as I sit here today, which we're on January 16th, my company today has as much booked business, meaning that, if nothing changes, our revenue in 2023 that's booked already is already exactly the same as 2022. So if nothing changes, we don't add any other clients, we don't take on any additional services, 2023 revenue is already what 2022 was. And we still have 11 and a half months to actually continue that trajectory. So when you start to, follow through on the little things and gain the self-confidence, it transcends into all areas of your life. You can't help for it to impact everything. And by taking those small steps, it just begins to empower you to impact everything else.
With the number on the scale, this is very important. The number will take care of itself when you respect yourself. And then you won't even care about what the number says because you respect yourself. And that's really what we're looking for. The second thing, business revenue growth, because of the changes that you've made in yourself as an individual that got you that weight loss is amazing, but it's translated. Why? What were the things specifically that were different about you and how you operated in your business in order to get yourself to that place?
Great question. I'm going to start with outside the business and then move into the business because it actually starts in the morning. So I am a notorious snoozer. I'm going to get out of bed at 5 o'clock and do self-development and train and meditate and all those things. And then snooze. And before I would know it, it would be 6:30. Now,
when you're already defeated, you're already defeated at that point.
And then I would feel rushed.
Okay, go ahead.
I would feel rushed. And so I'm already defeated. I'm walking into the office from a position of frantic, frenzied. I didn't accomplish anything that I wanted to do in the morning. I didn't say what I was going to do. So of course, when I'm looking at my 30-minute block where I'm supposed to call 10 current clients, it does not happen in the order that it should or as quickly. The difference now is alarm goes off. I am up. I am meditating. I am journaling. I am doing all of those leadership development things. So I'm setting myself up for success, confident, and going into the day, understanding it. The other thing that I started to do too is write down my goals in the morning and in the evening, and also write down successes. And when I close the day with successes and recognizing what did I do today that I did really well? What did I do today that I didn't do really well? What can I learn from it? And then what are the 3 biggest things I have to accomplish tomorrow? I clear my headspace. So I'm entering into bed. I can sleep well because now I know what I did well. I know what I didn't do well and what I'm not going to do again the next day. But more importantly, what are my 3 priorities that I'm going to start the day with and actually knock those out first? And by shifting that thinking, you just completely transform your day. But it's also environmental. One of the things the program does is, really force you to look at your environment. And what I realized is that when my office is a complete and total chaotic mess, or my house is a complete and chaotic total mess, then my calendar is a complete and chaotic total mess. My nutrition is a complete and chaotic total mess. How you do everything is how you do anything, or how you do anything is how you do everything. And it all relates to one another.
So just to clarify, for anybody who's now thinking they have to meditate and journal in order to be successful and set themselves up for their day, you don't. This is what works for her. The important thing to take away is there is structure and routine and rhythm. And she wakes up by fulfilling on what she intends to fulfill on before she gets to work. So that's what I would encourage anybody to think about is, what does my morning look like? Do I even know? Is there any rhythm to it? Do I just kind of wake up and then check Instagram or am I doing things that are very intentional? Because as soon as you can get a win in your day, you start the momentum. If you start your day by lose by snooze. If you start your day by not following through with an intention that you had, a great example is the alarm. You intend on waking up at a certain time and then you don't, you have let yourself down, right? That's a loss. That's an L. It's a big fat L. And that's how you start your day. Yeah. And then you can recover. But if you're not aware of what mind space you get into when you start your day with that loss, the rest of the day just continues snowballing. The momentum goes the opposite direction too, just as easier, I would say. And so the important thing is start your day with a win, have an intention. Maybe that's the alarm. Maybe you don't wake up with an alarm because you don't need to. That's fine. But what do you do first thing when you wake up that's productive and that is healthy and respectful to you and always happens every day? And then when you do that and you follow through with that, and don't say drinking coffee. Anybody can drink coffee. Okay. What's something very intentional that you do to better yourself right after you wake up and get that win so that you could continue the momentum? That's the big takeaway that I heard there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
No, then are we moving inside the business or no?
Oh yeah.
Yes. So inside the business, all of that definitely transcended as well, but I started to pay close attention to the calendar. And for those of you, I've seen some people in the comments that, Altius Healthcare Consulting Group focuses on productivity, but I didn't necessarily focus on productivity for myself. So it was a matter of really starting to listen to what I was telling, our clients and all those things, but really blocking out calendar space and then component and focusing in on the tasks that mattered the most and really eliminating things that didn't make a difference. In all of our days, we have things that are really important and other things that really are not important. So I went through the calendar and really looked at the areas that made a huge difference and had impact revenue-wise, relationship-wise, and kept the things that mattered and started to really remove the things that didn't. And when we are faced with a position that we do not really feel like doing something, we all get out our phones and we scroll on social media, or we start to look in other places, and we really get completely absorbed with tasks that don't matter. And I started to really focus on the things that matter and what's going to move the ball forward.
Okay, I have two things to say.
Yeah, go for it.
I love this. Busy is very different than productive. And for me, it's emails. I don't know why. I shouldn't even keep that tab open. I just go there and I'm like, anything new come in? Of course, something new came in. Something new comes in every minute. But, one thing that I heard is calendar integrity, and that what it sounded like, were also telling your clients to do. How much success did they have when you were struggling with that?
So interesting thing is our clients are extremely successful with all of our strategies. And two things I think that apply in both places. Number one, they were extremely successful with the action planning and sticking through and realized great results. I just wasn't doing what I was telling them to do. And the other thing is we constantly say, stay in your own lane, focus on what your department is doing. Don't worry about what the other departments are doing. Sure, maybe the CEO right now doesn't really have a clear vision and isn't really leading the way that you want them to do, but become the best emergency department director that you can do. Have good throughput, make sure you have a strong quality patient satisfaction. Doesn't matter what's happening here. What can you do to make your patients have the highest possible quality care? What can you do to make sure they have the best outcome? So I'm going to translate that back. One of the first things I heard here was stay in your lane. Don't pay attention to what everyone else in the community is doing. It doesn't matter that they can do headstands or handstands and their shoulder tapping. You're not there yet. So don't even try to worry about that. It doesn't matter if they're working out 5 days a week. Stay in your lane. I can remember when I started in the RAW program and Coach Taylor, it just was like, why are you even worrying about that? Like, I don't know, because I think I do. And then Sarit consistently would tell me the same thing. Pay attention to yourself. And so it was really, it's what I tell our clients, pay attention to yourself. And the other thing that, we always do is don't change too many things all at once.
Yeah.
When you're on a change management transformation journey, you're in your hospital, maybe that you have to change your processes. You can't change all of the processes at once. You can't completely throw out the schedule. Change one shift. Just move it. Maybe someone's working 8 to 8 and you need them to work 10 to 10. Shift one thing. See how that's going to work. Once it's successful, then move on to something else. It's the same thing with a personal transformation journey. Don't try to change everything. Get breakfast locked down. Are you eating a healthy breakfast? And is breakfast okay? And once you figure breakfast out, okay, now what can we do somewhere else? Do you have the right protein intake? I think that's what really resonated so much about your programs, is what you're doing for fitness and nutrition and lifestyle is exactly what Altius does for, action planning and things. I didn't actually make the connection and know how to translate it, but it's a phenomenal. And I think it's limitless to how you can actually use the information and transform your life. It's really a matter of showing up, doing the work, and becoming the best version of yourself.
Yep. The reason that I asked that question is because I noticed as a personal trainer, when I was struggling with myself, my clients were not getting the results they were hoping for, but I didn't know that I was the one responsible for that. If I'm not sold on myself, if I'm not convicted on what I'm coaching or teaching because I'm not doing it, then they're not going to follow through. And I can't hold them accountable to it because I feel like a fraud. Now, if you're working with somebody who's driven, or they're going to do what you say, regardless of what you're doing, because they follow through. That's their personality. That's their role. That's what they do. You won't have that problem. The second thing was, the calendar integrity. And then you talked about something else, but I forgot. So if it comes back to me, it's meant to be, but if not.
Well, I have something about that is I did have imposter syndrome. So, I definitely felt like a huge imposter, and that impacted my business because it's really difficult to go to the table and try to sell someone on the fact that you can transform their hospital when you can't transform yourself, or you can't actually do that. So I don't necessarily think, even though the clients that we had were realizing results, it definitely impacted my belief in what I was doing and my ability to hold people accountable. And I had huge imposter syndrome. And I didn't have that when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, but it did come into place as I worked through this, because why should anyone listen to me? I can't even follow through on what I say. And that's started to play into a lot of the underlying impacts of our business, for sure.
Yeah. I want to learn more about, the program that you're currently in, and, just what personalization has done for you in terms of your own body transformation journey. And like, who would you say it is for, and who would what?
One thing at a time.
Okay, so talk to us about the program that you were in that has completely transformed you, and what made it different.
Let's make it simple.
Yeah, so I am in the Inner Circle program, and what made it different is the fact that it is personalized, and it really is having a coach that works with you side by side and addresses your underlying issues. And what made it different for me is it allowed me to confront and come face to face with self-limiting beliefs in all areas of my life, and understand why I was reacting to things in a certain way, and then working with my coach on what solutions would be. And what's really important, I think, about the Inner Circle program is it really has a bunch of different components, but it provides you with the habits that are going to work for you, but at a rate that you can have success with them. So it's very tailored and personalized because everyone is different. So one person's goals are going to be different than another's, but there's also a leadership development aspect of it. So the best way for me to describe the Inner Circle is, if you love leadership development and you like John Maxwell and you love Napoleon Hill and you like to do all that, but you don't have the time to read all of the books, you need to actually go jump into the Inner Circle now, because every week you get an hour-long session of the things that you need from the books you need to read without reading them. And I think that is like one of the most amazing things from the Inner Circle is all of the leadership development and self-help and self-care and all the tips that are dissected down and then taught how to apply it to your life. So the difference from the program is you have that educational component of it, but it also helps you with your actual transformation journey, because you're working side by side with a coach on all of the changes that you need to make. And when things aren't working, you quickly pivot. And sometimes when you try to go it alone, or even if you try to do a program without a mentor or without a coach, you don't necessarily know what has to change. You may think you know, but how has that been working for you? And I know in my case, I thought I knew, but I had no idea. And when you have someone that's invested in you and you stop believing in yourself, you can actually borrow from their belief and borrow from their confidence until you get yours back. And that's a really important component of coaching, because there's times we all need someone to actually guide us until we can guide ourselves. And the other piece is the community. I've never seen a community, and not just the inner circle, but the raw and just the ES community in general. There's not another community anywhere that's going to be as supportive. So anytime you're struggling, there are going to be 50 or 100 people behind you, pumping you up and sharing their experience and lifting you up so that you can actually make the difference.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to Sarit's second part of that.
Second question.
Second part of this, yeah, same was, who would you recommend it for?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would recommend it to anyone that has any area of their life that they want to improve or that they feel they have a higher potential in. Whether it's business, whether it's your career, whether it's relationship driven, whether it's nutrition, movement. If there's an area of your life that you feel you could actually improve, be better at, or you just want to become a better version of yourself, dive in. Honestly, I think the inner circle is for everyone. And if that's too much of a leap, there's the RAW program, the Real Authentic Weight Loss, which gives you the foundations. Honestly, anyone can benefit from it. And if you're feeling any burnout, any stress, any loss of energy, you just feel like something's missing, but you don't know what it is. You can't get out of bed in the morning. Your relationships aren't as strong as they once were. Maybe you've lost that zest for life. This helps you get it back, because you really get reconnected with who you are as a person and can start to make the changes that you need to in a way that's non-threatening. I think a lot of times we go into weight loss and it's overwhelming, or you go into transformation, you have to do all the things and you get even more stressed out. But programs like this actually step by step take away your stress and make your life better.
I love that. And I want to know from you as a healthcare provider, because obviously weight management is has an enormous impact, whether as a society we realize it or not, on our healthcare bills, on our taxes, and anything in between. And I would just be curious to know, as a healthcare provider, and knowing what you know, with regards to, the just current state of the health of this country, what do you truly believe is the missing piece?
Honestly, I truly believe that the missing piece is that healthcare is designed mostly to be reactive and treatment driven. So I don't want to get too sidetracked. I mean, there was a study that came out that, we should have weight loss surgery for 12-year-olds, which I thought was just ridiculous, but I won't go down that path today. I think we're very reactive in the fact that you have a healthcare issue, so take a pill. You're, doing this, so go get a surgery and do this. So we treat everything well after the fact, but we don't actually try to solve the reasons that it's occurring. We don't actually take the steps to change what's occurring on the front end so that you don't end up in the situation that you're in. If we simply would address environment, lifestyle, access to whole foods, access to nutrition, access to exercise, and treat through wellness, we could actually solve a lot of the issues before they begin. Amen. But instead, we wait until someone shows up in the doctor's office. If they even show up in the doctor's office, sometimes they don't show up until they're in the hospital. Yeah. And by then it's far too late. So I think we need to be more proactive. And I think the true problem is, as a society, we like to now take the easy way out. We want the quick pill. We want the quick solution. We want to hit the easy button. We don't necessarily want to do things that might be a little bit hard. And in healthcare, if we just started young, I truly believe we should start with education in the school system or with children. And as parents, we need to train our children to eat right and to do the things that they need to do to take care of themselves. We need to start there. And in healthcare, if we start with that component and educate our youth, we could be in a completely different situation.
Yeah.
Amen.
If you always try to do the easy thing, life is actually much harder than it would be if you did the hard thing first.
Yeah. Let's take care of our employees. Let's take care of our people.
Right. Yeah, gosh, this is such a good conversation. And honestly, you guys, like, this is why we do what we do, right? Because we have both struggled with, our body image and disordered eating patterns and really self-sabotage. And then we've also seen the impacts of...
We've also been out of control with our time, with our routines, we've also felt fraudulent, or like imposters.
Yeah. And, we've also seen the other side of, like, for me, like seeing my dad almost lose it because of a heart attack. Like, it truly is all about being proactive rather than reactive. And I'm really glad that you said it. And, you guys, by the end of the day, nobody's going to hand you anything. And it is really up to you to take full responsibility of your life, regardless of whatever is your current circumstance. Like, the truth is, like, Stephanie, you knew when you were 225 pounds and you could barely walk up the stairs, it was your fault. However, you didn't know what you didn't know. So it was hard to take responsibility because you didn't know it was your fault, right? So it's a matter of, what do we need to know in order for us to take full responsibility of our lives? Because especially if you're listening to this, by the way, if you're listening to this and you're a healthcare provider, can you just drop an H in the chat?
It's kind of like, what do you need to become aware of?
Yeah, so that you can actually take full responsibility for your life rather than going on autopilot. Because deep down, I truly believe that we all want to do better. We all want to be better, but we don't know what we don't know. And whatever it is we are immersing ourselves with is what we'll end up doing. So if we continue going from one diet to the next, we're going to continue leading in the same direction because we're still the same driver, right? So it's like, okay, maybe instead of a Toyota Corolla, you're going to go to a Honda Civic. It's like, okay, what if we were to put you in a Tesla? So, for anybody who is more interested too about learning more about the Inner Circle program, or to see if this is a good fit for you, can you just go ahead and drop a link in the chat as well?
There is a link in the description in the YouTube video, if that's where you're watching this. And I can work on dropping a link in the chat.
This to you.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And Stephanie, any last words of wisdom?
Last words of wisdom. I would say, if you found anything that was shared today hitting you in a very emotional way, and it's causing you to question things or making you think, lean in, dive in, learn more, because when something touches you in the heart and causes you to feel any type of emotion, it's probably telling you that's the way you need to move, which is what brought me back into the community. The emails, the videos, everything were touching me and causing me to feel, and I knew that it was the right solution. So if anything resonated with you, lean in, don't be afraid, walk through the fear, faith over fear every day.
Faith over fear every day.
Amen.
Yeah, if you want to see if the Inner Circle is a good fit for you, it won't be for everybody, but if you want to see if it is, there is a link that I put in the chat as well as in the description below the YouTube video.
Yeah. And regardless of where you're at in your journey, let's connect, because ultimately we're here to really take care of you and to help you become a better version of yourself. Because the truth is that the only way for us to make this world a better place is by helping you to make your world a better place. So that being said, hit the subscribe button if you're checking out this YouTube video for the first time. Join our Facebook community. Erin dropped the link in the description, and thank you so much for, investing your time to spend time with us today. And we truly hope that it was valuable for you. Stephanie, you've been rocking this since we've started working together. And I'm just so grateful for your coachability and how you show up for yourself and for others.
And just really quick, if you have any more interest in connecting with Stephanie, where can they find you?
They can find me with my name, Stephanie Dorwart, on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram.
Is that where her name is? Right there.
Yep, right there.
Right there. That's how you spell it.
Yep. And the
All right.
company is Altius, Altius. And reach out, just message me. I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much for your time today, Stephanie. Guys, until next time.
Take care.